Hi, my name is Jaime Gonzalez.
And I'm Dr. Hoa Nguyen.
And we are the founders of Blacksteel Investment Group.
And we help people just like you achieve financial freedom so you can live life on your own terms. I was born in Manila in the Philippines in a refugee camp after my parents fled from the Vietnam War. Their dream was always to come to America so that we would have the opportunity to live the American dream. And so it took us about 8.5 years before we made it to America. We came to the US with absolutely nothing, and my parents were janitors when we first came. And so, I was in 13 different schools before we landed and settled in New Orleans. And I was in the 5th grade. I was in a very crime-ridden part of New Orleans. I had a gun held to my head twice by the age of 12. And so it was very rough beginnings. And so it was a hard journey when we came here, and then I lost my dad shortly after. When I was 13, he passed away. And so it was just my mom and then my 2 older brothers. I was the youngest. And so we grew up in a little $3,000 trailer that we bought in New Orleans.
I wanted to help my parents so bad. I had seen them work so hard for so long. I am an immigrant from Mexico, and I remember whenever I was about 4 or 5 years old, pretty much every Saturday we would go in our backyard. Our backyard is not your typical backyard. It's more of a landfill. And so my brother and I would go to the back and play within the trash. And we would just sort of wait until the trash would burn away. We didn't want to go to the front because it was not the safest place. The back was somewhere where they can keep an eye on us. That's whenever we decided to move to America. I joined my dad after school, and I would help him work his second job. And he invited me one night. I didn't know what he was going out for, but he's like, let me show you, what I do, and so you can help me. So I was a dumpster diver, and I had never felt embarrassment until I kind of went into that first dumpster. After we finished, and we would get our $10, $15 for the night. Early on, I knew I wanted to be something more. My mom and dad sat me down and said, this is not where you're going to be. You need to do something different, and you need to study. And that's where I didn't want to let him down, and so I started studying really hard, and I finished really well in school, top of my class.
My mom was my rock, and she didn't have much, but she made the best of the resources that were available. I was seeing her work 80, 90 hours a week. We didn't have much at all to begin with, and my mom, culturally in Vietnam, she wasn't allowed to go to school because she was a girl. And so here she is, a mom with no formal education, didn't speak the language, single mom of 3. And so I started working by the age of 10. For me, seeing the way my mom was, that was my strength. And my job, I was like, I want to learn and be the best so that I could just retire her and support and take care of her and have her live the life of her dreams. And so when she said that she couldn't go to school, I was like, you know what, Mom? I'm going to be the best at school. And so I became valedictorian. I became the first to go to college, to be a doctor in my home. I've learned so much and achieved so much that my mission and my passion is to be able to show other people how to do this.
We've been able to, retire our parents after we graduated, but I never want them to work that hard, ever. And it's just not where someone should be working so hard and not seeing their kids most of the day. Even though I'm successful now, I never want to go back there. And I never want my dad to go back there.
People think wealth is money. And to me, wealth is not money alone. There's 4 components of wealth. And so most of us think wealth in the financial wealth sense, but there's time wealth, there is health wealth, and then there's social wealth, where you're giving back and social impact. And so my husband and I, we're big into giving back and supporting charities and missions, and we travel around the world doing this now. Whereas before, we would just stroke a check, which was nice to be able to help, but to be able to personally go and experience this, and to be able to take our young daughter, who's 7 now, to be a part of that, that's a cultural and life experience that can never, be taught in a book or a classroom setting. And so for us to have the vehicle to be able to have our education and time invested into it, we want to make it so it's easier, where people who are busy, who don't have maybe all the time and money to have the resources to be hands-on doing the things they want to do, we want to be able to teach them the financial literacy on an earlier stage, give them a blueprint, a roadmap, and then be able to actually have them have diversified passive income opportunities, give them tools and also opportunities to connect them, where it's almost like holding their hands and guiding them through that process.
I say you have to seek for help, and you have to seek either a coach or a mentor, because they've already gone through it. They've already gone through that journey.